Fleet Officer Damian Nash had developed a sixth sense for irregularities during his 8 years aboard the interstellar vessel Celestial Wayfarer. Something about storage Bay 14 had been bothering him for days, inventory counts matching perfectly despite the system flagging minor power fluctuations in that sector. Too perfect. Damian's boots barely made a sound on the polished deck as he made his unscheduled midnight inspection round. At 32, he'd earned his reputation as thorough but fair, his tall frame and copper-brown skin familiar to every crew member aboard the massive exploration vessel. Tonight, however, he wasn't interested in catching crew members sneaking contraband. His instincts pointed to something else entirely. The storage bay door slid open with a soft hiss. Damian stepped inside, the lights automatically rising to half illumination. Towers of supply crates created a labyrinth within the cavernous space, each stacked neatly organized according to Concordat regulations. "Computer, run thermal scan this location," he murmured. "Scanning," the ship's AI responded. "Anomalous heat signature detected, Section 14C, behind cryogenic storage units." Damian's hand moved to the compact pulse pistol at his hip, not drawing it but ensuring it was accessible. "Identify yourself," he called out, moving cautiously toward the location. "This is Fleet Officer Nash. You're in a restricted area." Silence greeted him, but Damian's enhanced hearing, a standard modification for security personnel, detected soft movement. "I won't ask again," he said, his voice firm but not threatening. "Emerge slowly with hands visible." What stepped out from behind the storage containers stole the breath from his lungs. A woman, at least, she appeared female in form, stood before him. Her skin was a translucent emerald green with an inner luminescence that seemed to pulse gently. Crystalline formations protruded elegantly from her shoulders and forearms, catching the bay's light and refracting it in dazzling patterns across the walls. Her eyes were large, entirely silver without discernible pupils, yet somehow expressive. A mane of teal-colored filaments that resembled hair cascaded down her back. She was, without question, the most mesmerizing being Damian had ever encountered. "Please," she said, her voice carrying a harmonic quality that seemed to resonate in the air between them. "I mean no harm." Damian's training battled with his astonishment. "You're not in our species database." A small smile curved her lips. "No, I wouldn't be." "How did you get aboard?" he asked, hands still resting near his weapon, though he somehow doubted he'd need it. "I came aboard at Proxima Station," she explained, her silver eyes watching him carefully. "Your vessel was the only one departing for the outer systems." "That was 3 weeks ago," Damian said incredulously. "You've been hiding here all this time." She nodded, the crystalline formations on her shoulders catching the light. "I need little sustenance. My kind can absorb energy directly." The power fluctuations suddenly made sense. She'd been siphoning minimal amounts, just enough to survive without triggering major alarms. "Your kind," Damian prompted, professional curiosity momentarily overriding protocol. "And you are?" "I am called Nyxaria," she said, the name seeming to shimmer in the air. "My people are the Crystallis from the world you call Lumina 7. Damian's eyes widened. Lumina 7 was a recently discovered planet in the Ceti Serpentis system, preliminary reports describing it as uninhabited but rich in exotic mineral formations. "There was no indication of sentient life on Lumina 7, he said, brow furrowing. "That's what your Concordat wants everyone to believe," Nyxaria replied, a flash of something like anger rippling through her luminescence. "It makes exploitation simpler." Damian frowned. "That's a serious accusation." "Yet true," she countered. "Why else would I risk everything to stow away on your vessel?" A valid point, but protocol was clear. Unauthorized personnel, human or otherwise, had to be reported and detained. The Celestial Wayfarer was on an important mapping mission for the Galactic Concordat. Security breaches were unacceptable. "I need to report this," Damian said, reaching for his communicator. Nyxaria's luminescence flared with alarm. "Please don't." She stepped forward, one crystalline hand extending toward him. "If they discover me, they'll return me to Lumina 7. My people will face extinction." Her distress seemed genuine, and something about her desperation reached past Damian's professional detachment. He hesitated, finger hovering over the communicator. "Explain," he demanded, quickly. My world is being systematically mined, Nyxaria said, words tumbling out with urgency. The crystal formations your people prize so highly, they're connected to us, part of our ecosystem, our life cycle. As they're harvested, my people are dying. Damien lowered his hand slightly. If that's true, why hasn't anyone reported it? Would your mining consortium care? She asked bitterly. We've tried communicating. We're dismissed as energy anomalies, interference in their instruments. A conflict raged within Damien. His duty was clear, report the stowaway immediately. But if what she said was true... Fleet Officer Nash, his communicator suddenly chirped. Routine check-in requested. Nyxaria's silver eyes widened, her emerald skin pulsing with fear. Nash here, he responded, making a split-second decision. All clear in Bay 14, continuing rounds. Relief washed across her features as he lowered his communicator. You have until morning, Damien said quietly. If you're lying to me. I'm not, she interrupted. Her crystalline hand reached out, hesitating before gently touching his arm. The contact sent a strange, not unpleasant tingling sensation through him. I can show you the truth. Show me, Damien asked, puzzled. Nyxaria nodded. My people share memories through touch, if you're willing. It was against every protocol, every regulation. Yet Damien found himself nodding. Her cool fingers pressed against his temple. Suddenly, his mind flooded with images, vast crystalline forests pulsing with life, communities of beings like Nyxaria living in harmony with their environment. Then the devastating arrival of mining ships, the shattering of crystal formations followed by the agonized cries of her people. Damien gasped as the connection broke, staggering slightly. Now you understand, Nyxaria said softly. I've come to find help to speak for those who cannot. Damien studied her, mind reeling from what he'd experienced. What you've shown me. If it's true, it violates numerous Concordat protection laws. Laws mean little when profit is involved, she said bitterly. His communicator beeped again. Nash, anomalous energy signature detected in your vicinity. Please confirm status. The security system had noticed her after all. Time was running out. Nyxaria's luminescence dimmed with resignation. It seems my journey ends here. Damien made another impulsive decision. Not necessarily. Can you dampen your energy output? Hope flickered in her silver eyes. For a time, yes. Do it, he instructed, moving to a nearby terminal. I'm reassigning Bay 14 for specialized equipment storage, restricted access. You would help me. The disbelief in her voice was palpable. I'm giving you a chance to prove your claims, Damien clarified, fingers dancing across the terminal. The truth deserves to be heard, but understand this. If you're manipulating me, if you pose any threat to this ship or its mission, I won't hesitate to turn you in. Fleet Officer Nash, the communicator insisted, please respond. Nash here, he answered. I've identified the anomaly, faulty power coupling in Section 14C initiating repair protocols. We'll file full report by morning. Nyxaria stepped closer, her emerald skin now dimmed to a soft glow. Thank you, she whispered. Few would show such compassion to a stranger. Damien wasn't entirely sure his actions qualified as compassion. Perhaps foolishness was more accurate. But as he looked at Nyxaria, with her crystalline beauty and the echo of her people's suffering still resonating in his mind, he couldn't bring himself to regret his decision. We'll speak again tomorrow, he said quietly. Stay hidden, trust no one else aboard. As he left the storage bay, Damien realized he'd just potentially compromised his career, his reputation, and possibly the entire mission. All for a crystalline woman whose very existence challenged everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. And yet, despite the weight of these implications, he felt strangely liberated, as if after years of following orders, he was finally making a choice that was truly his own. The next 24 hours aboard the Celestial Wayfarer were the longest of Damien's career. He'd filed a fabricated report about power coupling malfunctions, arranged for Bay 14 to be flagged for specialized containment protocols, and redirected 3 routine maintenance checks. Each deception weighed heavily on a man who'd built his reputation on integrity. Yet every time doubt crept in, he remembered the vivid images Nyxaria had shared, the systematic destruction of her world, her people's suffering. If even half of what she showed him was true, his conscience couldn't allow him to turn her in. Damien entered his security code at Bay 14's entrance, ensuring the corridor was empty before slipping inside. The lights remained dim as the door sealed behind him. "Nyxeria," he called softly. A gentle glow emanated from behind a row of containers, gradually brightening as she emerged. Her crystalline form seemed even more ethereal than he remembered, the emerald skin casting soft refractions across the bay. "You returned," she said, relief evident in her musical voice. "I feared you might have reconsidered." "I considered it," Damien admitted, placing a small pack on a nearby crate. "I brought you supplies, water, nutrition concentrates. I'm not sure what you can use." "Your thoughtfulness is appreciated, though as I mentioned, I require little conventional sustenance." She approached cautiously, silver eyes studying him with curiosity. "You've taken significant risks for me. Why?" Damien had asked himself the same question repeatedly. "Because what I saw in your memories deserves investigation. And because," he hesitated, uncomfortable with the admission, "something tells me you're being truthful." A smile brightened her features, her skin glowing more intensely for a moment. "Intuition is highly valued among my people." She gestured to a makeshift seating area she'd arranged from smaller containers. "Please, I sense you have questions." As they sat, Damien noticed intricate patterns flowing beneath her translucent skin, like liquid crystal in constant, gentle motion. Mesmerizing. He forced his focus back to the matter at hand. "The Concordat has strict laws protecting sentient species. If mining operations on Lumina 7 are harming your people, there are legal channels." "We tried those channels," Nyxeria interrupted, frustration evident in her tone. "3 cycles ago, our council sent representatives to your outpost in the SETI system. They were detained, classified as mineral phenomena, and subjected to experiments." Her luminescence dimmed with the painful memory. "Only one returned, bearing warnings that further contact would result in our containment for study." Damien frowned. If true, this represented serious violations of Concordat principles. "Do you have proof, documentation of these interactions?" "We don't document as your species does," she explained, "but I carry the shared memories of our council." She hesitated. "I could show you, though the experience would be intense." Before Damien could respond, his communicator chimed. "Nash, this is Lieutenant Vargas. We're detecting unusual energy patterns near your location again. Systems can't identify the source." Nyxeria's glow immediately diminished to barely visible levels. "Acknowledged, Vargas," Damien replied smoothly. "I'm running diagnostics on those faulty couplings. The replacements are showing some instability. I'll recalibrate and update you." A pause. "Captain Thorne wants a full analysis by 800 tomorrow. These anomalies are concerning her." "Understood, Nash out." He turned to Nyxeria, tension evident in his posture. "This is becoming complicated. The ship's systems are more sensitive than I anticipated." "They're detecting my resonance," she explained. "When experiencing strong emotions, my energy signature expands. I can suppress it temporarily, but not indefinitely." Damien ran a hand through his short, dark hair. "We need a better solution. You can't stay hidden in this bay forever." "There may be a way," Nyxeria said carefully. "My people can adopt a form of dormancy, similar to your concept of hibernation. In this state, my energy signature would be minimal, almost undetectable." "That sounds promising." "There is a complication," she continued. "Entering dormancy requires a significant energy transfer first, a charging as you might understand it. The power needs would trigger your ship's alerts." Damien considered this. "Unless we scheduled it during a routine system recalibration. Those happen every 2 weeks and one's due in 3 days. Power fluctuations are expected during that time." Hope flickered across Nyxeria's features. "That could work, but there's another matter." She hesitated, her luminescence shifting to a deeper green that somehow conveyed embarrassment. "My people typically exchange energy directly between compatible individuals. It's intimate." Damien felt heat rise to his face, understanding the implication. "You mean?" "Nothing inappropriate by your standards," she quickly clarified. "But it would require physical contact, prolonged contact." An awkward silence fell between them, broken only by the distant hum of the ship's engines. "I wouldn't ask this of you," Nyxeria said finally, "but circumstances leave few alternatives." Before Damien could formulate a response, A ship-wide announcement blared through the communication system. Attention all personnel. Long-range sensors have detected an unidentified vessel on intercept course. Estimated contact in 6 hours. All security personnel report to briefing room 3 immediately. Damien stood quickly. I have to go. Concern crossed Nyxaria's features. Could they be looking for me? It's possible. The mining consortium has significant influence. He moved toward the door, mind racing. Stay here. Minimize your energy output as much as possible. I'll return when I can. The briefing room buzzed with activity as Captain Thorne addressed her senior staff. A holographic display showed the approaching vessel, sleek, heavily armed, and bearing no visible identification. The vessel is not responding to hails, Captain Thorne explained, her weathered face grim. However, they're broadcasting a general repeating message. She nodded to Communications Officer Patel, who activated the audio. Requesting immediate inspection of Celestial Wayfarer on authority of the Mineral Resources Division. Prepare for boarding upon intercept. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. Murmurs rippled through the assembled officers. The Mineral Resources Division has no jurisdiction over exploration fleet vessels, Science Officer Take-Two objected. This is highly irregular. Captain Thorne nodded. I've already filed a protest with Fleet Command, but given our position, we won't receive a response before they intercept us. She turned to Damien. Officer Nash, prepare a security detail. If they insist on boarding, they'll be escorted at all times. Yes, Captain, Damien acknowledged, his mind racing. The timing couldn't be worse if these people were looking for Nyxaria. As the briefing concluded, Lieutenant Vargas caught up with him in the corridor. Strange coincidence, don't you think? First those energy anomalies in Bay 14, now a Mineral Division vessel hunting us down. Damien kept his expression neutral. The division oversees thousands of operations. They could be interested in our survey data from the SETI Serpentes system. Perhaps, Vargas conceded, though her sharp eyes reflected skepticism. Still, might be worth checking those anomalies more thoroughly before they arrive. I'll handle it, Damien said firmly. Vargas raised an eyebrow. You've been spending a lot of time in that bay. Just being thorough. Right, she stepped closer, voice lowering. Listen, Nash, we've worked together for 3 years. I know when something's off, whatever you're mixed up in. There's nothing to be concerned about, he interrupted. Trust me, Vargas. A slight smile crossed her features. I do trust you. That's why I diverted 3 maintenance requests from Bay 14 without asking questions. She tapped her communicator meaningfully. Whatever you're doing, be careful. Before he could respond, she continued down the corridor, leaving Damien with the unsettling realization that his deception wasn't as perfect as he'd imagined. When Damien returned to Bay 14, he found Nyxaria nearly invisible, her crystalline form dimmed to the barest shimmer. I heard the announcement, she whispered as her glow gradually strengthened. They've found me. We don't know that for certain, Damien replied, though his tone lacked conviction. Who else would send an armed vessel to intercept an exploration ship? Her silver eyes fixed on him. The mining consortium has significant resources and few scruples if they've tracked me here. They'll have to get through me first, Damien said with surprising fierceness. Nyxaria's luminescence pulsed with emotion. You barely know me. Why would you place yourself at such risk? It was a fair question, one Damien had asked himself repeatedly. Protecting a stowaway alien directly contradicted his duty. Yet somewhere between their first meeting and now, his priorities had shifted. Because what's happening to your people is wrong, he said simply. And because I'm tired of looking the other way when convenient politics trump actual justice. He moved to the bay's monitoring system, checking the approaching vessel's position. We have 4 hours before they intercept us. We need a plan. I could surrender myself, Nyxaria suggested quietly. Your career, your life shouldn't be forfeit because of me. Not an option, Damien replied firmly. There must be another way. He paced the storage bay, considering their limited options. Nyxaria watched him, her crystalline features softening. You're remarkable, she observed. Most beings prioritize self-preservation above all else. Don't give me too much credit, Damien said with a wry smile. I'm breaking probably a dozen regulations. For a just cause, she countered, stepping closer. My people have a belief that souls who share purpose across the void will inevitably find one another. The proximity of her crystalline form sent that same strange, tingling sensation through him that he'd experienced when they first touched. It wasn't unpleasant, quite the opposite. "Is that why you chose this ship?" he asked, suddenly curious. "Some spiritual connection?" A musical laugh escaped her. "No, nothing so mystical. Your vessel was simply going in the right direction." Her silver eyes held his gaze. "But finding you, that feels less like coincidence with each passing moment." The air between them seemed charged with unspoken possibility. Damien found himself drawn to her otherworldly beauty, the gentle pulse of light beneath her emerald skin like a heartbeat made visible. His communicator broke the moment. "Nash, this is Captain Thorne. Report to the bridge immediately." "Acknowledged," he responded, then turned back to Nyxeria. "I need to go, but first," he hesitated, then made a decision. "We're going to need that dormancy plan sooner than we thought. What do you need from me?" Her luminescence brightened with surprise. "You're certain?" "We're because what's happening to your people is wrong," he said simply. "And because I'm tired of looking the other way when convenient politics trump actual justice." He moved to the bay's monitoring system, checking the approaching vessel's position. "We have 4 hours before they intercept us. We need a plan." "I could surrender myself," Nyxeria suggested quietly. "Your career, your life shouldn't be forfeit because of me." "Not an option," Damien replied firmly. "There must be another way." He paced the storage bay, considering their limited options. Nyxeria watched him, her crystalline features softening. "You're remarkable," she observed. "Most beings prioritize self-preservation above all else." "Don't give me too much credit," Damien said with a wry smile. "I'm breaking probably a dozen regulations." "For a just cause," she countered, stepping closer. "My people have a belief that souls who share purpose across the void will inevitably find one another." The proximity of her crystalline form sent that same strange, tingling sensation through him that he'd experienced when they first touched. It wasn't unpleasant, quite the opposite. "Is that why you chose this ship?" he asked, suddenly curious. "Some spiritual connection?" A musical laugh escaped her. "No, nothing so mystical. Your vessel was simply going in the right direction." Her silver eyes held his gaze. "But finding you, that feels less like coincidence with each passing moment." The air between them seemed charged with unspoken possibility. Damien found himself drawn to her otherworldly beauty, the gentle pulse of light beneath her emerald skin like a heartbeat made visible. His communicator broke the moment. "Nash, this is Captain Thorne. Report to the bridge immediately." "Acknowledged," he responded, then turned back to Nyxeria. "I need to go, but first," he hesitated, then made a decision. "We're going to need that dormancy plan sooner than we thought. What do you need from me?" Her luminescence brightened with surprise. "You're certain?" "We're—" The emergency quarters were quiet, dimly lit by the glow of standby systems and Calera's soft, bioluminescent patterns. Kyle sat at the terminal, reviewing sensor sweeps and security chatter, his jaw tight with tension. Across the room, Calera lay curled on the bed, the shimmering wrap she wore barely covering her indigo skin, but she made no move to fix it. She was exhausted, physically, emotionally, spiritually. They both were. "They've stopped broadcasting search orders on public frequencies," Kyle muttered, scrolling through encrypted feeds. "That means Briggs is keeping this quiet. He wants us found, but not by just anyone." "Because he wants me alive," Calera said softly. "Useful." Kyle glanced back at her. "Maybe, or maybe he wants to know how deep this goes before making a move." She nodded, then sat up slowly, brushing her white hair behind her shoulder. "I contacted Talia for more than just confirmation," she said. "I needed something, insurance." "What kind of insurance?" She reached into the folds of her wrap and retrieved a small, crystal-like shard embedded in a metal base. "A core fragment from one of Altha's pre-collapse archive vaults. It holds records of diplomatic messages intercepted by the purists, messages from the Alliance. Not just the offers of help, but the refusals to negotiate." Kyle's brows furrowed. "You're saying both sides have been lying." "I'm saying the Alliance never intended to fully help us unless we agreed to become politically subordinate. And the purists never planned to ask for help. They wanted to preserve a pure, Althan legacy, even if it meant extinction." Kyle let that sink in. "So your father, the king, what did he really know?" I don't know anymore. Her voice cracked faintly. I thought he was a proud fool. Now I wonder if he was surrounded by liars. We could use that data, Kyle said, eyes on the shard. Send it to the Alliance media, make it public. They'll say it's fake, she countered, and it paints me as a traitor to both sides. He stood and paced. Then we find someone neutral, someone who can verify the data and cares more about lives than politics. Like who? Calera asked, skeptical. Dr. Morgan, Kyle said. You said he could be trusted, and he's a medical officer. He has limited clearance to the mainframe. If we can get him the shard, he can decrypt and verify the messages. Once it's confirmed, we go to the public. She stared at him. That's a dangerous plan. So was trusting me, he said, his gaze locking with hers. But you did. A faint smile tugged at her lips. Yes, and now we're fugitives in a janitor's closet. He stepped closer, voice low. I can't fix the Alliance or your planet, but maybe, just maybe, we can force them to listen, and we do it together. She reached up and took his hand. Then let's be dangerous. Later that night, Kyle moved through the maintenance ducts like a ghost, the shard hidden in a false panel on his belt. The Ark's security systems weren't built to catch their own officers moving through restricted crawl spaces, but that didn't mean he was safe. If Briggs was watching, he'd have traps laid. He reached the hatch to the medical wing's rear maintenance corridor and tapped a silent code. A moment later, the hatch slid open just enough to let him slip into the darkness. Dr. Morgan was already waiting in his private exam room, dim lights casting long shadows on his face. Reeves, Morgan said, frowning, you're officially listed as missing in action. Figured I'd drop in for a checkup, Kyle said dryly and handed over the shard. You said you questioned the Alliance's ethics. Prove it. Morgan examined the shard, then glanced at Kyle. What's on it? Proof that both the Alliance and Calera's government have been lying to everyone. Morgan hesitated only a moment before nodding. This will take time, if I'm caught. I'll take the fall, Kyle promised, but don't get caught. The next day, Calera paced restlessly. He should have returned hours ago. He's covering his tracks, Kyle said, though he wasn't sure. We don't know how long it takes to verify ancient encryption. She stopped, facing him. I don't know what scares me more, what's in that shard or the idea that it won't matter. He moved to her, pulling her close. It matters, you matter. We're not going to let the truth disappear. Before she could reply, the emergency terminal chirped. Incoming message, encrypted medical channel, origin, Morgan. Kyle opened the message, a single line. It's real, meet me in Medbay Auxiliary 3. Bring her. Medbay Auxiliary 3. Dr. Morgan met them at the door, face grim. You weren't lying, everything you said confirmed. Alliance offers retracted, purist interference, diplomatic sabotage. What now? Calera asked. I broadcasted it to the Council of Systems, bypassed Alliance command entirely, Morgan said. And I tagged it with my own credentials. If they come for you, they'll have to come for me first. They will, Kyle said, and for me. Calera placed a hand on both of their shoulders. Then let them come. We've already made history. The room fell silent, tension heavy in the air. Then Morgan nodded. Whatever happens next, the galaxy knows the truth. And outside the medical bay, alarms began to sound.